Okay, so I think if you all agree, we could go with the little clip that Urban Sketchers created from each talk, and we will show the one from Mike, which will last maybe a couple of minutes, no more. And then we can have maybe Mike talking to us about his work, his challenge, and exchange ideas.
I just had my birthday, and yeah, it was a cake that my wife had baked for me. Yeah, it was just, you know, like many people, we had to stay indoors, and that was the way she celebrated for me. Yeah, that's part of the USk Talk Challenge that I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's jump to the challenge then. Tell everybody what you want them to do.
Sure. So the theme here is celebrate good times. So we are living in difficult times right now. But I do believe as though there's a lot of things that you could even find, even at difficult times, of things to celebrate about. It could even be small things, as well as big things too, if you have any. You know, we're staying at home. A lot of us are making bread for the first time, or cooking new recipes. Why not document that? You know, celebrate what you did. Or maybe it's a new hobby you picked up, a new instrument, or your child made something for you, or you planted seeds in the garden and the flower and the vegetables started to come out. Yeah, document it, you know, celebrate it. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you on what you have in terms of your celebration.
That sounds excellent. And I mean, for those of you who didn't catch it earlier, this is Mike's Instagram handle, as well as Rita's from earlier. So be sure to hashtag USk Talks Challenge and tag Mike.
Great. So I think we can now maybe ask Mike if you would like to step in. So if you would like to, I don't know, tell us about the challenge, about your work, and we are very happy to hear from you.
Sure. Yeah. No, it was wonderful watching the video from 6 months ago. Brought back good memories, and it almost feels like yesterday too, because things haven't changed too much. You know, work. Some areas we're able to go outside, but you know, it's still pretty serious what's going on right now. But yeah, it's you know, from every day since this whole thing where we had to stay home, or you know, I think, you know, I've continued to sketch. It's kind of my way of keeping sanity, as well as keeping me happy. And I do still believe that there's things to celebrate about. I mean, even the smallest things. You know, like you know, for many of us, I know that like to travel to different countries or abroad, or places. I think we all miss that, but there's wonderful things in your neighborhood that you probably don't even know of or haven't explored, even in places you live for a very long time. It's when you look harder, and we kind of have to, because we're in this situation. But I believe in limited situations, you actually see more sometimes, because it's very limiting. You go deeper into it. So that's what this challenge is about.
It's very inspiring. I personally found it very inspiring at the time, and still now, as you said, things didn't change massively, but hopefully soon they will get better. But it's really nice to think about exploring things, even of the everyday life, and think about celebrating also the small things. So we have seen like the sketch you proposed for the for presenting the challenge, which was a nice cake that you said your wife made for you. Yeah, that would be so that's really nice. It looks very yummy.
Yeah, no, this was very yummy. Yeah, she's been making a lot of things recently. So this one was nice. I mean, they're all nice. You know, that, don't get me wrong. There's sometimes when she cooks something, she almost forces me to sketch it. You know, I'm like, I'm not, you know, as crazy as it sounds, there are times I just want to eat. I'm like, I just want to eat.
Yeah, but now you started, and she wants you to do them all.
Yeah,
It makes sense. It makes sense. Well, that's lovely. But actually, so as I said at the beginning, also for those who joined us now, we are having this virtual meeting today because in our country here, we cannot really organize meetings, but we wanted to keep it like urban sketching activity. And we thought that the challenges from USk Talks are really inspiring. And Mike is our first, let's say, challenge that we decide to go through, and we have the luck to have him here. So I would say that now in these 15 minutes of our first call of today, we could discuss together ideas of things that you would like to sketch today to celebrate something, or even because we have Mike here, I think we should take advantage of, I don't know, maybe asking him questions about, I don't know if you know about his very famous book about urban sketching, but he has a very nice explanations of what are his tools, what are the ways that he approaches urban sketching on location. So I think he's a very good guest for us to ask question and, I don't know, compare his ways with our ways, and that would be really nice. So please feel free to step in. Yeah, you see, my father is showing the book.
Yay! All right.
Yes, because I got this book, and I decided after I read it to give it to him because he's starting his urban sketching. So I thought it would be great for him, and he's going through it very slowly because he doesn't speak English, so he needs to translate everything. But still, graphically, is very clear. So please feel free to step in and ask questions, discuss.
Did you always draw, Mike? Like from being a child? Were you drawing, before you could speak?
So I actually didn't draw as a child.
Oh.
I actually didn't like drawing. I think it's probably because I wasn't good at it, and I don't have good memories as a child drawing. So I might be an exception in that sense. I started picking up drawing after I went to design school in college. So I started studying industrial design because I like making things in 3D. And drawing was part of our program. And from then I started learning, but it was really after I started working in the industrial design profession where I needed to communicate my ideas visually quickly to people. And that wasn't drawing, that was sketching. And so I started picking that up. And I've been doing that about 20 years now. So.
Cool. Whereabouts are you based, Mike? I mean, I don't. You've perhaps moved around.
I'm in Charlotte right now, Charlotte, North Carolina, and
the States,
in the US. In the States, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Did you? I was curious whether your sketchbook. Sorry, it's just I'm asking another question. I've already asked one. It's full of pictures of food.
Yes. Yes. Well, food. I love food. That's one thing. But there are times I try to sketch every day, but it's difficult. When I'm sure it's difficult for everyone. We have lives and busy lives and work and children and all the other things that come along with it. And but we all have to eat, and I believe food and is turned out to be a good opportunity to throw in a sketch for that day if I don't get to sketch. So that's why I draw food a lot. Yeah.
Do you always keep your pictures, or do you sometimes throw them away?
They all stay in here. I don't think I've ever really thrown away anything. And that's why, it stays in my sketchbook. I could go back into it years later and look at it and say, oh yeah. Or there are times when you do that really awful drawing that really upsets you, and years later you look back at it and say, hey, that's not that bad. It really isn't that bad. It's I think we're too hard on ourselves, especially when we're doing it. We just want to get it right and perfect, and it's not that. It's really about enjoying that moment.
And I think it's useful because sorry.
I was just about to say, what's your preferred medium?
It's pen. It's fountain pen specifically. So this is a fountain pen. I pretty much do like 90% or more drawings on it. It's a fountain pen by Sailor, but it's a fude nib. It's got a little curve at the end. Many people use fude nibs. Fude is a Japanese word for brush. and
Yeah.
it was originally created as a calligraphy kind of pen, but
right.
urban sketchers have started using this a lot. Many manufacturers make this, but you can make a really thin line as well as a thick line all in one stroke kind of thing. So
And do you
that's
use black ink or do you use different coloured ink?
My favorite is this, is a Noodler's Lexington Gray. It's a very light gray color. It's almost like a pencil color in a way. And the reason why I like it is it works very well with watercolor. It doesn't like stick out or jump out. So that's why I like it.
Okay, thank you.
It dries quickly too. Yeah,
Yeah.
waterproof. Mhm.
What particular Sailor pen is it? I've got a couple of the Sailor pens, but which particular model is it you have?
This one, well, it's called the Fudere Mannen. You probably will have a very hard time finding it outside of Japan. Sometimes it's on eBay. I actually see it on eBay UK sometimes, but the prices are just outrageous
Right.
on eBay. It's
Okay.
not even worth looking at it. So, but yeah, it's a Sailor 1911 Fudere Mannen.
Okay,
It's a
yeah.
really long name. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Did you, when you first got into sketching, so you were doing your design work and sketching to clients,
Yeah.
did you, when you started sort of sketching for pleasure, did you, well, I guess that's how it evolved. Is that how it evolved, I guess?
Absolutely. That's absolutely how it evolved. So trying to bring sketching into daily life, I carried a sketchbook everywhere. That was definitely step one. Another one I picked up from in that early days too, which I still do now, is I never sketch with a pencil. Everything is permanent. So it forced me to think quickly. And if I make a mistake, I would, or if I, needed to do another line, I don't erase, or I can't erase. So
Yeah.
I would draw another line, call it that reinstating. And it's really trying to find that line you're looking for. And the more you do it, and originally it may have taken 10 times to do it, as you get more and more comfortable with it, it only takes you twice, or, the amount of lines you need to create a sketch just gets so much like minimized. So
you really kind of set out as an urban sketcher from the word go. You didn't kind of mess around.
Yeah, I did. It was,
yeah. Set out and there you were, an urban sketcher. Yeah.
Yeah, it was 10 years before I ran into Gabby, who started the urban sketching movement. That was the first time I got to see all of the other people that did the same thing as what we all do. That prior to urban sketching, I thought I was by myself. So I'm like hiding in the corner and sketching because I didn't want people to.
You found out you were part of the group. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Can I just
it's
ask
a wonderful.
Sorry, could I just your urban sketches, your sketches? I quite like the rules of the urban sketches when you have like the background and things. So you draw every day. Do you kind of always try and have that in mind? I guess with the cake, you've got a bit of background, or do you just think that's a separate drawing? Or
so there's definitely certain things that makes an urban sketch and not an urban sketch, for instance. I personally don't think it needs to be crazy rigid, but I think there is a difference between urban sketching as opposed to drawing in a controlled environment in a studio, for instance.
Yeah, exactly. Difference.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes, very different. So like a still life with your control light, no one's bothering you. You have all of the tools by your side, as opposed to it could be the same subject, but it's inside a cafe. There's tons of people around you, and you never know if you're going to get kicked out, or so you might be drawing the same thing, but this environment or the scenario is very different. And I think one is an urban sketch, one is a still life. Nothing wrong with the still life, but it's just very different. It's a mindset and an environment. But regarding your question about the background and stuff, if there's things to throw in the background that makes sense to the context or the story that you're trying to tell, I do throw it in. But if it doesn't, I don't throw it in. I might do it like with the cake. It was on top of my kitchen countertop, and I didn't want to
draw things in the kitchen, you know, like dirty dishes or whatever, you know, around, you know, it doesn't, you know, so it was a cake, but I finished it up with a little bit of a story, or a little bit of a write up about, you know, how I was feeling or something like that. So.
Thank you, Jackie.
Interesting, yeah.
This is actually a very interesting question, because often as admins we find ourselves having to not accept posts because they are not really having a context, because we try to stay with the manifesto, but actually it would be nice to let's say integrate in our group what you just said, if everybody agrees, of course. I think it's nice to think about the idea of maybe drawing an object or something, like, or a person that anyway can tell a story, and because you're doing it on location and you have all the what you have around you, like, you know, as you said, sound or crowds, not really at the moment, but at some point. But you know,
Exactly.
that would be really nice. So thank you, Mike. That's really a precious feedback on this, and thank you, Jackie, for the question. Thanks everybody for the questions.
I have a sort of a question on a similar theme of the difference between when you're urban sketching and when you're doing a drawing, and that is really, do you think about the composition in the same way and plan it as a drawing, or do you just start drawing when you're in a cafe or something? Do you just start drawing in, you know, somewhere on the left and work over into somewhere on the right, or do you always start with the people, or do you start, like, how do you start?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I think to answer that, it depends on how much time I have, or the context of the environment. If there are things I'm drawing, like for instance in a cafe, if I know I have a seat and I know if I could sit there a long time, I could really plan it out. You know, I'm like, all right, I want to start out with this person on this here, or this thing on the left and to the right, and I'm going to try to fill it in, kind of thing. But if I know, you know, my subject is going to move, or if I'm sketching in a scenario where it might start raining, or if I know I might get kicked out because I can't stay in this one location a long time because it's inside a museum, or whatever it is, then it's much less planning. And I would always start out with what I want to sketch. So as silly as it sounds, I don't plan the whole page. If I know the main subject and why I was attracted to that situation in the first place, the scenario, I would sketch that. Then as I have time, I would fill in the rest. So I don't know if that answer.
No, it's interesting.
Yeah, thank you, Naomi. That's a very interesting question. Sometimes I think the general feeling for, you know, whoever it is, if it's someone sketching for a long time or a short time, I think it is something that you think in a moment and say, okay, I would like to sketch everything, but actually what can I focus on and where to start? So I think this is something that you can feel at any stage you are with sketching or whatever is your, you know, experience. So thank you, Naomi. Very interesting.
Yeah, one more to add to that is it also depends on your concentration level. Everyone has different concentration levels. Mine, I know it doesn't go over 1 hour. Mine is like 30-40 minutes. I know that from over the years, but I also have friends in this urban sketching community where their span is like 3 hours. It's outrageous. You know, for me, I'm like, how can anyone be that focused and go that detailed? But you know, everyone's different, and then there are some people that are very short. You know, like 10 minutes, and they want to move on to the next subject. So that depends. You know, that plays in the factor too. So you should try to understand where you fit in and what your comfort level is.
Yeah, I'm 20 minutes. That's it.
If you like this feeling of, you know, being on the camera, having others in front of you, if you're going to sketch in the same room where you are now, you can eventually be online, right, Nick? We said that whoever wants, you see, Nick is nicely offering a very long Zoom session where if you like, you can stay online and sketch together, or you can like leave the call and join us again at Nick and Daisy, I think is at 4, right? Our other appointment. They are saying yes, so I am right. You see, I'm always right. So anyway, no, this is really great. And Mike, thank you so much.
No, thank you.
it has been beautiful to have you here. I have to say, I knew the work of Mike, and thanks to the USk talks, I started, looking at also what was his way of thinking. And then I was also in a kind of I think it was a contest where we could do your challenge and eventually, win a copy of his book. And that's how I got his book. And this was beautiful because he donated this to, I think, 2 sketches, if I remember correctly. So he's a very generous person, and something we didn't really end up talking about, but it is in the full version of the USk talk that he gave last year, or actually it's this year, sorry, last season.
Yeah, it feels like last year.
Yeah, exactly. It's his involvement in many beautiful activities where he's sharing with people that are maybe having some let's say problems in accessing let's say art tools or art classes. He's doing many nice projects. He also won a grant, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Yes. So that's a very beautiful activity that he does, which I don't want to say please talk about it because I don't want to take too much of your time. You're free if you want to do it. I don't want to oblige you, but in case there is the talk where he's talking about it, that is beautiful. I really advise you when you have time to have a look. It's like a 30-minute talk. Thank you, Mike. Bye. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mike. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.